Castlelyons Ui Liathain, Castle of the Ui Liathain territory. Very little is known of the tribal families who ruled the district before the Normans came, but it is said that Castlelyons was held by a family named O'Cullan or Collins at the time of the invasion. Strongbow and the Normans arrived in Waterford and Wexford in 1169, but it was 8 years later that they arrived in Cork and conquered the adjoining county. The territory of Ui Liathain came into the hands of the Barrys. Philip the Barry, the first of the family to settle in East Cork, arrived in 1183, built his chief castle at Carritugal, with outlying castles at Castlelyons and Buttermint. The head of the Barry family was at first known as Lord Barry of Ulktham, but after some time, when the family became partly Gaelicised, the land was referred to as an Barrock Moor, the Great Barry, hence the name Barrymore and Lord Barrymore. For over 400 years, down to about 1630, the Lord lived at Carritugal in the castle called Barrycourt. Only one of the earlier lords had a connection with Castlelyons. Lord John de Barry, the 5th Lord, in 1309, granted to the prior and priors of the Carmelite Order of Drogheda a piece of land in Castlelyons in Munster, 40 by 34 yards, about 1/5 of an acre. On this part of the land was erected the Carmelite Priory of Castlelyons. The last Catholic Lord Barrymore died at Barrycourt in 1617. As his son David Barry was already dead, his successor was the latter now also named David, then aged 12 years. According to the penal laws of the time, minors who were sons of lords or landed proprietors were to be placed under Protestant guardians and brought up in that religion. Young David Barrymore was placed in the hands of the notorious Richard Boyle, 1st Earl of Cork, who married him at the age of 16 to Alice Boyle, his daughter. On account of his accepting the Protestant religion, this David was created Earl of Barrymore. Moreover, he mortgaged Barrycourt to his father-in-law, the Earl of Cork, and with the money rebuilt and enlarged Castlelyons Castle as his chief residence. The Earls of Barrymore continued to occupy Castlelyons Castle as their Irish seat for about a century and a half. The castle played an important part in the 16th and the 17th century wars. In 1645, the castle was captured by the insurgent Irish from Cromwellian forces. Varying architectural features, Norman, Tudor, Jacobean, indicate its many reconstructions. The final reconstruction of the early 18th century converted the castle into a strong and stately house. The castle was built on the ruins of the Ui Liathain fortress. The castle itself was once a large building which was roughly square in plan with a central courtyard. On one side of this courtyard was a large hall which supposedly had muskets, swords and bayonets hanging from its walls, along with many paintings and sculptures. Opposite this hall, at the other side of the courtyard, was the kitchen, to which water had been made available via an aqueduct. Within the castle itself there was also a large gallery, which was 90 feet long and 2 stories high. Each floor was divided into apartments, in which hung the family portraits. Included amongst those were 2 originals of Richard, the 1st Earl of Cork, and his second lady. The gardens lay to the west of the castle, and they were watered by a canal which ran through them. The castle grounds also incorporated a deer park, through which the River Bride still runs today. One July day in the year 1771, the Barrymore connection with Castlelyons came to an end. The castle was completely destroyed by an accidental fire on July the 22nd of that year. It was in the time of Richard, who was the 6th Earl of Barrymore. The Barrymores returned to Carrytool and made Own Game House their chief residence. The 7th and the 8th and the last Earls got into debt and sold the vast Barrymore estate in 1806. The Castlelyons lands were sold to Samuel Perrott of Cork. Beside the townlands of Kill St. Anne and Ballyara about the castle, the Barrymores also held the southern half of Britway parish directly in their own hands. The 8th and the last Earl died in Paris in 1823. His wife was a Catholic, and it is said that he also embraced the Catholic faith before his death. His nearest relatives, the Smith Barrys of Fota, then became head of the Barry family in Ireland. They were descended from a younger son of one of the Earls, the 4th son of the 4th Earl. The latter erected the Barrymore Mausoleum at Castlelyons Old Churchyard in 1747. The mausoleum is still to be seen to this day.